Well, hi Bob, thank you for joining us as always as we look at the week ahead. The first week of the month of March is approaching us. Will the new month bring many monthly data releases?
Yeah, it's a relatively busy week ahead on the economic calendar. For the US dollar, key stats in the week, you've got the market's preferred ISM private sector PMI numbers, so manufacturing, non-manufacturing. You've got the ADP employment change figures on Wednesday, and then you've got initial jobless claims on Thursday, and then the non-farm payroll and unemployment rate numbers at the end of the week. So expect plenty of interest in those numbers. For the euro, you've got private sector PMI numbers for February for Spain and Italy, and finalized numbers for France, Germany and the Eurozone. Expect any revisions and Italy and the Eurozone's numbers to be the key drivers. Midweek, we've also got German unemployment, retail sales figures to also consider ahead of factory order numbers at the end of the week. Expect plenty of influence from there. And with market sentiment towards inflation, you've got member state inflation numbers out in the week as well, prelim numbers for February that will also draw interest. For the pound, relatively quiet week. We've got finalized private sector PMI numbers and construction PMI numbers. Expect any revision to services PMI to be the key driver in the week. Outside of that, for the pound, upward momentum remains likely, with obviously planned easing of lockdown measures and progress on the vaccine front positive for the UK economy.
Elsewhere, Bob, what should the commodity currency traders be looking out for over the next week?
For the commodity currencies, relatively busy week. For the loonie, we got fourth quarter and December GDP numbers in the early part of the week, and then IV PMI and trade data at the end of the week. Expect plenty of interest in the numbers. For the Aussie dollar, we've got GDP numbers for the fourth quarter as well. And then wrapping things up on Thursday, we've got retail sales and trade data. Expect the GDP numbers and the retail sales figures to be key. All of this comes after the RBA monetary policy decision on Tuesday. We're not expecting the RBA to deliver any further easing, so that puts the focus on the GDP numbers. Are they aligned with the RBA's economic outlook? For the Kiwi, pretty quiet week, not much to really consider, so that leaves the Kiwi dollar in the hands of private sector PMI numbers out of China and market risk sentiment in general.
Elsewhere, Bob, what about the Asian currency traders? Is there anything coming out of Japan and China that we should be keeping an eye on?
For the Japanese yen, quiet week ahead. Got capex, fourth quarter capex and job related stats in focus. We're going to expect the capex numbers to draw the greatest interest, though we continue to expect stats to have limited impact on the yen. For the Chinese yuan, busy week. We've got private sector PMI numbers on Monday and Wednesday. Expect the Kaisen manufacturing figures on Monday to be the key driver. Ahead of those stats over the weekend, we've got the MBS numbers to set the tone. So expect plenty of interest there. The market's going to be looking for sustained economic growth from China to support riskier assets.
Okay, so Caixin PMI, a big one out of China for next week that we need to look out for. Meanwhile, is there anything going on in geopolitics that could impact the Forex markets over the next week?
On the geopolitical risk front, not much really to consider other than obviously Iran and the US alongside the EU returning to the negotiating table for the nuclear agreement. So that will draw plenty of interest. Iran doesn't give things up too easily, so expect some ruffling of the feathers. That could impact oil prices, but unlikely. Markets have been through this before. So other than that, Joe Biden foreign policy remains an area of interest. Obviously, relations with China, are they going to reset, or are they going to continue down the path that Trump had built on the phase 1 trade agreement and then look to build a phase 2 trade agreement? So these are really the areas of focus. And then outside of politics, you've got obviously COVID-19, vaccinations and vaccination rates, and obviously border restrictions, and whether other major economies are going to be looking to begin easing restrictions along the lines of those of the UK.
Bob, as always, thank you very much. It was a pleasure, and we'll speak to you again next week. Thank you everyone for watching. This was the week ahead. Don't forget to head over to our Dukasgobi TV social media platforms to keep up to date with everything else affecting the markets. Until then, goodbye.